This young guy was lucky to have unlimited regeneration powers, but it also brought him endless despair because in a class full of superhumans, his ability was nothing more than a punching bag for them. Helplessness hit hard, since no matter how serious the injury, he could always heal back to normal. Every day felt like living death. But thinking about his mom at home gave him the drive to stick it out at this school because graduating from the Superpower Academy meant landing a good job. Then he could give his mom a better life. But all those dreams shattered on his mom's birthday. The bullies at school somehow found where she worked. Just one wrong word, and they turned her into a vegetable. Despair, rage, and pain transformed Jae-hun from a pathetic loser into a real monster. Let's dive into the main story. 10 years ago, a portal opened in the sky, and countless demons flooded into our world. Over time, humans gradually gained powers from those demons, forming hunters specialized in hunting demons. However, what about a shirtless teenage boy suddenly appearing, out of nowhere? A big chunk of ice slammed into his face. The impact was so strong, he started bleeding from his nose and fell backward. The crash of falling stuff echoed as the teen was still trying to recover. My name is Cang Di Giang. The bright red blood pool stood out against the white floor. I was just a loser. A guy about his age leading a few others to cause trouble. That trembling leader's intro already showed he was no good. At the superpower school, D-Rang lay unconscious. He kept fighting back relentlessly. Get up now. This punk's whole deal was that I have regeneration powers. Suddenly, he opened his eyes wide, trembling all over, gritting his teeth like he was enduring hell. It's an S-Class power, but ironically not mine. The reason is, I can't stand the insane pain while regenerating. D-Rang screamed in agony, tears and snot streaming down his face from the pain. This power is super rare, so hardly anyone knows about it. After that, all I knew was these jerks were bullying me. The leader signaled his crew to rush and attack him, mocking me as I writhed on the ground trying to recover. D-Rang's body was covered in wounds, writhing through the familiar flesh-regenerating process, and because of my power, no one knew I was getting bullied at school. His lonely silhouette sat quietly alone in the classroom. Teachers and cops couldn't do a thing because the government sided with them. The only reason Li D endured until now among all the S-Class awakened students was because of my mom, a gentle woman who appeared asking if I was home. Time to eat, son. My dad died when I was 5. My mom asked if school was fun. D-Rang showed little emotion. At school, he casually lied to his mom. Yes, it's really fun. If I graduate from that school, I can become a hunter. His mom seemed to have something on her mind, avoiding his gaze as she said, "Is that so? Just keep trying a little more." He silently finished his meal, fighting back tears. With my power, I can become a C-rank hunter. The pay's low, but for the two of us, it's more than enough. We can live happily together, right, Mom? Your hands must be full of times marks and scratches on the calendar. The 15th was marked as your birthday, or at least, that's what I thought. Di Jiang's world seemed to lose all life when he saw his mother, wrapped in bandages on oxygen, lying weakly in a hospital bed. They hurt my mom. They beat her until she became like a vegetable. They said, it was just an accident. A man in a black suit appeared, coldly reporting your condition. What happened? When they came to my mom's shop, the ringleader, not satisfied with just that, came to the shop to mess around. Whoa, you're pretty, huh? He grabbed her hand and asked, how do you feel? I just made a diamond. Ha ha, his buddy mocked her. She's totally silent. Ha ha. Your mom jerked her hand away, resisting. Sorry, sir. Then the ringleader's phone dropped, cracking the screen. An accident. She bent down to pick it up, worried, saying, oh no, the screen's broken. He said casually. Ah, she hurried. I'm sorry, But before she could finish, a metal shard rose from the ground, piercing her. The ringleader got angry. Damn it, they can't even control their powers. Di Jiang endured the pain, biting his lip until it bled. Only I knew how much I suffered. He seemed numb to the pain, biting his lips hard. This can't be. It can't just be an accident. A few teeth broke loose, falling to the ground with drops of blood. It's all those bastards' fault. Di Jiang couldn't stop hurting himself. He pressed his nails into his neck, then cut a line. Tears mixed with blood fell to the floor. A bit of blood splattered onto the shattered cake on the ground. On a mountain in the city, a worried buddy biting his nails asked, hey man, is this really okay? What if she dies? The ringleader lay on a rock, playing with his phone. Not caring, replied, that's her problem. Ha ha. He jumped down, slinging an arm around his buddy. Why do you keep stressing about it? The buddy stammered. Before he could finish, the ringleader cut him off. Hey. His face was full of menace and a look that didn't give a damn about life. You think this is the first time I've beaten someone? While the two were chatting, a shadow appeared in the forest. Why are you doing this? It was Di Jiang. He lowered his head and stepped forward, and they wondered, Who the hell is that? Clearly not recognizing him, Di Giang clenched his teeth. Why did you do this? The ringleader still didn't get it. What the hell are you talking about? He shouted in rage. Why the hell did you do this to my mom? You damn bastards. Only then did he realize. Oh. The ringleader asked casually. So that's your mom, he mocked. Looking so young and pretty, and that's your mom. So what? He continued. Well, lucky for you. He created a long metal spike that pierced Di Giang as he charged at the ringleader. Calmly, he said, I almost asked her out and became your dad. That'd be disgusting. Di Giang trembled, trying to bear the pain clutching the diamond. He gripped it tight, confusing the ringleader. Di Giang shed tears, then fiercely pulled the diamond out of his body. A hole appeared, but with a speed visible to the naked eye, it slowly closed. Di Giang writhed in pain, enduring the agony of his flesh transforming. He stared at them with hatred down to his bones. I'm gonna kill you. The ringleader clearly wasn't scared. Oh wow, he mocked, so scared. Then he created thousands of sharp diamond spikes. He pointed his finger forward and flicked down thousands of sharp spikes, stabbing straight down. Stab him till he's a hedgehog, the leader sneered. Who the hell do you think you are? He mocked the loser. Di Giang stayed silent, saying nothing. Suddenly, he lifted his head, his body still trembling as it regenerated. Di Giang uttered each word. You. He struggled to charge at that damn bastard. Di Giang seemed numb to pain, bloodshot eyes burning with rage, but he kept fighting till the end. The leader lost patience and signaled, this guy's stubborn as hell, shock him a bit. His accomplice hesitated for a moment, then looked at the trembling Di Giang, and without hesitation used his power. A blinding light flashed. Thousands of electric bolts shot down onto him. Di Giang couldn't take it and dropped to his knees. His whole body was suppressed by the electric current, head hanging low as if he had fainted. Di Giang knelt pitifully before the three thugs. The leader signaled, let's go. You guys, not forgetting to spit on his head. At that moment, Di Giang moved slightly, grabbing the leader's leg tightly, shooting him a hateful glare. Where do you think you're going? The leader, clearly pissed off, cursed. Damn son of a bitch. The leader turned his hand into diamond and punched Di Jiang's head hard. He kept pounding him, cursing, you should have been taking care of your damn mother. Why the hell are you messing with me? His diamond fist was now covered in blood. He kept going furious, then punched him in the mouth. How could his front teeth handle that? They broke right into his nose, spraying fresh blood. Drops of blood splattered on the leader's cold face. He called his accomplices. He suggested bury that brat alive. Covered in blood, Di Giang struggled. Ugh, you bastards, the accomplice asked. What are you gonna do? He didn't answer, just cursed. Rot and die right there. The leader used his power. Suddenly, thousands of diamond shards sprouted. Di Giang cursed back, screaming in rage, I'll kill you all. His eyes bloodshot and terrifying. I'll kill you with my own hands. You bastards. His vision darkened. I will kill you. Di Giang could only see the leader. I will kill you, the leader replied with a mocking smile. Keep dreaming. He turned his back. If you manage to escape, leaving Di Giang encased in a cocoon buried underground. Di Giang struggled to hold the sharp shards with his hands, silently cursing. Damn it. Gritting his teeth, Di Giang cursed. Bastards, 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 bastards. He couldn't take it anymore and yelled QYQ at he punched the diamond block hard, but it didn't budge an inch. Blood flowed from his hands again. Diamond shell can't be broken. Feeling hopeless, his arms gradually went limp. Suddenly, he realized something. Panting hard, Di Giang cursed. Damn dogs. He was struggling to breathe. Suffocating. Tears streamed down his face. His whole body endured unbearable pain again. It hurts so bad, my head spinning, my body's burning up, heart feeling crushed, but his regeneration power wouldn't let him die. Di Jiang's hand curled up, his body trembling, but with his regeneration came excruciating pain. He screamed in utter agony. Veins bulged on his feet as he entered a new regeneration phase. Every moment his chest expanded terribly. He reached out, grabbed a sharp diamond shard and clenched it tight. It hurt so bad. Without hesitation, Di Giang stabbed it into his own body, using the pain to numb himself. In his mind, the image of his gentle mother appeared, but this damn regeneration ability. Di Giang was gasping in agony. Don't let me die. At this point, he no longer had the strength to control himself. Tears and drool streaming down. Di Giang just kept his eyes wide open, feeling this familiar pain. He curled up in his tired shell, thinking how helpless, lonely, and hopeless he was. After who knows how long, little Di Giang in the dark space regained his thoughts. But even now, his eyes flashed a weird red glow. His mother was still alive. He remembered his poor mother, lying dying in the hospital bed. Di Giang gritted his teeth. I have to get out. He started pounding hard on the diamond block. No matter what, he was determined, no matter how long it took, by any means hitting blow after blow. But the diamond block showed no sign of cracking. I have to survive and get out of here. After who knows how long it was, still that familiar city. On the news board, an interview was airing. The host said, "Welcome to the Hunters and Guests show. Today's guests are the famous S-rank hunters." He asked, "The three of you are known for your unique personalities. Do you often help the community?" The leader replied flatly, Since we were young, we often helped people in tough situations." The host laughed. "You guys are really admirable. The three tough guys have grown up." The leader calmly answered, "Haha, that's just how we roll." The host praised, "Wow, that's awesome." Then moving to the main topic. 5 years ago, were you involved in a real accident? Did you injure someone? He seemed caught off guard by the question, stunned for a moment, then started acting, pretending to cry. That person was the mother of a close friend of mine. He showed regret and guilt. Back then, we were just students, unable to control our powers, the leader said, before the watching audience. "I want to apologize to my friend, but since that day, I haven't seen him anymore. I wish we had another chance to meet and say sorry." He was deeply emotional. "I really want to apologize." Suddenly a door slammed toward him. The leader hurriedly raised his hands to block it. His arms were covered in a thick diamond layer. He glanced up coldly. "What the hell is that?" The crowd panicked and scattered. "Run, there's a monster." A skeletal foot stomped on the flower-patterned ground. Screams echoed. "Run fast." It slowly stepped forward, then stood opposite the three. The leader seemed not to recognize it, looked at its foot, then the monster suddenly charged at him. Back to Di Giang, he was still tirelessly pounding on the diamond block. Di Giang kept repeating that action to numbness. How long had time passed? His eyes were empty. Months, years. Di Giang looked at the diamond block in despair. The diamond didn't even have a scratch. But more than that, he looked at his hand. "My power is gradually changing. My body is transforming. After many bone regenerations, my bones are getting harder, even the outer bones. My hand no longer regenerates flesh, but strengthens the bones, which have started to show outside." Slowly, other parts began to change too. "In this tomb, I destroyed my leg bones, gradually grew my body, then the upper half, and they slowly transformed. Finally, my face, the bloody pain, just kept flooding in. As the blood flowed out, each bone joint shattered one by one. All I could feel was pain, and it kept repeating. This pain was worse than death. But I endured it." Something was cracking. An eye slowly opened, then stared wide with hatred. Back to the present, a punch slammed right into the leader's face, twisting it. He was blasted backward, crashing hard into the wall. The redhead was stunned by the scene before him, unable to believe what just happened as his strongest teammate was taken down so easily. For a moment, a familiar figure flashed vividly in his eyes. Instantly, Di Rang appeared with a grotesque, deformed body, completely losing his humanity. A flood of tragic memories suddenly swept through his mind. The bully coldly turned away without forgetting to taunt. "Good luck, man." Dung Dung sneered confidently. "If you can get out of there." But time really flew by fast. Today was the day when the bullies had to look at him with wide-eyed fear. Di Giang proudly and fiercely greeted, "I'm out, you bastards." Seeing him, the bullies couldn't believe, their eyes shocked and speechless. Just then, the blue-haired guy angrily forced himself up from afar. "You bastard," he immediately shouted, ordering, "Kill him, quickly." His henchmen got ready to fight. A massive high-voltage electric shock instantly blasted Di Giang's whole body in seconds. He was in unbearable pain, speechless, but Di Rang snapped back to his senses instantly. He gritted his teeth in pure rage, veins bulging on his furious face. Suddenly, Di Giang stomped the ground with fierce anger. He quickly charged forward. In a flash, he sliced off the bully's head cleanly. Seeing his teammate taken out so fast, the blue-haired guy stood dumbfounded, speechless. The leader was frozen, eyes wide open, unable to react. Without hesitation, Di Giang silently passed by the leader, feeling no fear or respect for him at all. At this moment, hatred probably blinded both their eyes. Taking advantage of Di Jiang's distraction, the scheming leader suddenly lunged to strike. He rushed at him without hesitation. Instantly, Di Rung was surrounded by sharp, jagged rocks. In no time, the leader easily trapped him inside a tough, sticky cocoon. Seeing this, Di Rung got furious, gritting his teeth in rage. He easily tossed the rubble aside, bursting out with fierce momentum, then grabbed the leader's empty mouth. In his palm, Di Jiang jerked hard, causing the leader's jaw to drop instantly. The leader writhed in pain, unable to resist. Seeing this, Di Jiang didn't hesitate, and kept attacking non-stop, forgetting that the blue-haired guy had gotten up preparing a surprise attack from behind. Di Giang was lost in hatred, caught off guard. Quickly, the blue-haired guy punched him hard, causing sharp pain, but he didn't know his diamond punch could no longer pierce Di Jiang's head. The blue-haired guy's eyes widened in horror. Immediately, he angrily decided to strike again. In a flash, thousands of sharp diamond spears appeared outside the high-rise building. The blue-haired guy gritted his teeth. With just a quick flick of the hand, thousands of spears immediately flew through the entire building. In an instant, everything fell into chaos. Di Jiang immediately lay motionless on the ground before the blue-haired man's indignant gasps. He looked at him blankly and stood still, not knowing what to do next. But this time, everything was so unexpected. Di Jiang, with his inherent superpowers, miraculously got up. Just like that, he gradually stood up before the blue-haired man's surprised eyes. He was desperate, helpless, looking at him with fear. Di Jiang suddenly glared and turned around to look at him with a fierce aura. The guy with blue hair is still the same. He stood there, stunned, unable to believe his eyes. He gritted his teeth in horror as he looked at the strange scene before his eyes. Having run out of options, the blue-haired man was helpless and had to strengthen his body with diamond armor. He continued to rush to attack Jiang. Each attack continued to be launched without stopping. In a moment, his punch instantly shattered Jiang's face, and his body was unable to resist and was crushed to pieces. Even green-haired people see this and are filled with enthusiasm. He was determined to squeeze Jiang out to the last drop of blood. In just a few seconds, his body was tragically injured. The blue-haired man was so proud that he took the opportunity to launch a fatal blow, but a strange thing suddenly happened. Di Jiang didn't know when he woke up, but suddenly opened his mouth and bit his arm. He was furious and crushed so hard that each piece of diamond shattered. The blue-haired guy was surprised and couldn't react in time to this situation. And at that moment when he was absent-minded, Di Jiang directly launched an attack that went straight through the green-haired man's body. He was shocked and fell to the ground in pain. On the other hand, at the same time, Di Jiang's face was covered with blue veins. He clenched his teeth and squeezed hard, causing the blue-haired man to cry in pain and despair. His whole body trembled non-stop. But this blue-haired guy is cunning. He doesn't stop there and secretly uses his powers. In an instant, a giant, sharp diamond tip suddenly shot straight up from the ground, immediately piercing Di Jiang's body. He received a fatal blow and immediately remained silent and did not move. Seeing that the blue-haired man quickly took the opportunity and fled, but he hasn't had time to leave yet. Di Jiang flew a sharp diamond spear through his chest. He calmly stood up, carefully collect each spear very quickly. Di Jiang needed a whole lot. He calmly approached the blue-haired man, making him tremble in fear and tremble. His mouth let out a sound. He was so scared that he kept turning around and shouting, "Don't come near me." The blue-haired guy was desperate and had no way to escape, so he helplessly shouted, "Don't come close to me." But Di Jiang didn't care at all and bluntly delivered the finishing blow, causing the blue-haired man to gasp in pain. A pool of bright red blood immediately poured out and soaked the ground. Di Jiang coldly looked at the blue-haired man lying miserably on the ground, constantly trembling. He was puzzled, using the last of his strength to ask him, "Ah, who are you?" The blue-haired guy kept complaining, "Why are you doing this to?" But Di Jiang is very cold. Without bothering to answer, he reached out his hideous hand and grabbed half of his face, jerking it violently before the blue-haired man's wide eyes. He was shocked. "Surprised to recognize you." The blue-haired guy suddenly burst into tears and hopelessness. "You are him," recalling the past, when your brother once threatened me and stood up. The worm called out his name to the bully, who constantly oppressed Di Jiang to the point of misery. Bloodied Thuong, don't just lie there and sleep. And quickly snapping back to reality, the blue-haired guy suddenly remembered and called out. A familiar phrase that little pest made Jiang's eyes go wide. Still pissed, he immediately launched an attack. The blue-haired dude didn't react in time and got beaten mercilessly. But no single hit could satisfy Jiang. He kept hammering non-stop. In a flash, another strike landed. The blue-haired guy's face was smashed to a pulp, blood splattering everywhere. He gasped weakly, his eyes rolling back lifelessly. Jiang finally decided to deliver the finishing blow. By now, he'd lost all humanity, his eyes filled only with pure hatred. The blue-haired guy bit down hard on Jiang's fist. At the same time, he trembled in pain and broke down crying. But soon after, his eyes showed no sign of life. Seeing this, Jiang calmly pulled his arm back. He glanced around the area. The scene before him was a chaotic mess, littered with countless bodies lying pitifully on the ground. Instantly, there was no trace of life left. Jiang stood up and carefully scanned the surroundings. Suddenly, his silhouette appeared against a blood-red backdrop. Then, a sudden downpour started. Jiang just stood there, dazed, staring at his own reflection in the silence. His memories flashed back to one night at a high-rise hospital. At that time, Jiang was wrapped in a thin blanket. He was emotional, eyes brimming with tears, looking at his mother in a vegetative state, lying motionless on the hospital bed. With a vacant gaze, she couldn't have any meaningful conversation with him. Back in reality, Jiang painfully dropped to his knees on the ground, sobbing uncontrollably amid the ruins under the rain. Soon dawn broke. The scene shifted to a lush green forest, where a magical gate suddenly opened. Near the exit, a monster's corpse lay gruesomely on the floor. Suddenly, a creepy voice echoed, "Well done." Then a group of smug men closed in, relentlessly cornering a beautiful girl. She had done great as Sister Liu. This wasn't her first time stepping through such a gate. Right. The girl blushed slightly and hesitated before replying, "Yes, that's right. Haha, thanks for the compliment." But the men couldn't hold back their lust and said, "No, we should be the ones thanking you." The girl was startled and asked, "Excuse me." Immediately, one guy loudly continued, "No one knows what's waiting inside the gate." Hearing this, her face darkened, her whole body trembling. Before she could react, he pressed her against the wall and growled threats. "Depending on the gate's difficulty, it could take me up to a month to get out. Meanwhile, you better take good care of us." Saying that, he leaned in closer, breathing heavily with satisfaction. But suddenly the beast's head dropped to the floor. The group panicked, shouting, "What the hell? Who was that?" Seeing this, the girl was overwhelmed and burst into tears. In a flash, Jiang appeared from behind with a majestic aura. The scumbags immediately got spooked and rushed forward to attack one of their own. Shouting urgently, "Mage, where are you? Come help us kill him right now." A flurry of attacks rained down. Jiang took the hits without a scratch, standing still like a statue. Just a little twitch. Seeing that, one of them immediately dashed forward to attack. He was fired up, yelling loudly, "Take this." But then, something terrifying happened out of nowhere. The moment his sword touched Dirung's chest, it instantly shattered. He stared in shock at the broken blade, eyes wide, speechless. For a moment, Dirung glared coldly. A flash of red blood appeared in an instant, instantly blurring the vision. In a blink, the foolish swordsman quickly collapsed to the ground, showing no signs of life. The surrounding crowd was stunned, exclaiming, "No way. How could something like this show up at the gate?" But before the thugs could finish their words, Dirung coldly launched another attack. Instantly, the heads of two fools were cleanly severed. Jiang panted heavily, slowly moving forward under the wary gaze of the girl. She sat down on the ground, trembling all over amidst the ruins. For a moment, Jiang narrowed his eyes. Burning with murderous intent, he cast a contemptuous look, watching her every lowly move. Suddenly, she burst into hopeless tears. Then she broke down, suddenly sobbing loudly. Sob, sob, sob. She bent down, flustered desperately, thanking him. "Thank you for saving me." But before she could say more, Dirung coldly swung his sword, slicing off her head. At that moment, his humanity shattered inside. Jiang dropped to his knees on the ground, looking at life with despair. Suddenly, in the silent space, a strange voice, unclear where it came from, suddenly echoed, "Awesome. How does it feel to get your revenge?" This confused Jiang a bit. He asked back, "Who are you?" She took the initiative to introduce herself. "I'm Sim Da-ran, president of the Korean Hunters Association." Hearing that he asked further, "How do you know me?" Sim Da-ran calmly replied, "I've been watching you." She emphasized immediately, "I've been tracking you since that accident a few years ago." Hearing this, Dirung was furious, and he angrily smashed the stone floor. He stormed forward, bluntly cursing, "You bastard." But Sim Da-ran's next words made Jiang hesitate and stop dead in his tracks. "I can save your mother." He instantly paused. Rocks flew everywhere from his forceful blow. Jiang couldn't believe his ears and asked in shock, "What?" Without hesitation, she continued, "Your mother can come out of her current vegetative state," Sim Da-ran confidently asserted. "With the hands of Sister Liu, the world's only S-rank healer, that's me." Seeing this, Jiang couldn't believe it right away and foolishly asked, "Why should I trust you?" Facing his doubt, she laughed coldly without hesitation. "Haha." Then Sim Da-gian added, "When you were in that pit, your mother was still alive. You don't really think the hospital faked it, do you?" Hearing this, Jiang panicked, clutching his chest urgently, asking, "What do you want?" This pleased Sim Da-ran. She silently chuckled with satisfaction, then bluntly stated, "I need a super strong hunter." Sim Da-ran spoke seriously about the tough situation now. Most of the government troops can't match the hunters. Among those powerful hunters, there are even some with strength surpassing nuclear weapons. But then, an unexpected event occurred. She lowered her voice sadly and said, "But the monsters inside the gate almost wiped them all out. And the gates still remain, along with the sad truth that only monsters are left inside. That place has become a battleground for nations. Jia used them to make hunters from different countries fight each other." Simon spoke in a low, sad tone. "But our country is seriously lacking hunters. We can't stop Japan from invading. She firmly insisted that we can't just stand by and take it, which made Jae Jiang standing across from her widen his eyes in surprise. Seeing that S-Dajan didn't hesitate and added, if we use hunters to fight Japan, that would definitely spark a war, but if you fight them as a monster, doing it inside the gate, then there won't be any problems, so please help us. In return, we'll save your mother. Faced with this offer, Di-rung hesitated for a moment, then he shifted his gaze to the pile of bodies of those black-thighed men. At the same time, his mind couldn't stop thinking about his poor mother. Ex-Daran quickly seized the moment to repeat the offer, so become a monster for your mom. At this point, Di-rung was out of options. He silently accepted for a moment. The sky was bright with morning sunlight. A deep green season appeared around a pale white magic circle. This place is the land of Japan's cherry blossoms, and this grand skyscraper is the government office. Inside that building, through the door, two figures were discussing. The man above spoke, Minister of Defense. The man below quickly replied respectfully, yes, Thuong Gai. The man above seemed powerful. He wore thick-rimmed glasses. Resting his chin on his hand, displeased, he asked, why can't we contact any of our hunters? Behind that curtain, the man revealed, was middle-aged, with slicked-back blonde hair and designer clothes that made him look very stylish. None other than Japan's Prime Minister, Juju Zaki Juto. When his superior showed displeasure, the subordinate kneeling could only humble himself and take full responsibility. Sorry, sir. It's all my fault. To make amends, he placed his hand on his chest, bowed and declared to the Prime Minister, I'll find them immediately. Though a subordinate, his position was no joke. He was Japan's #1 hunter. Right after the meeting ended, he promised his mission. How could he back out? Outside the hallway, he ordered his assistant to prepare a sword for him immediately. The assistant asked with concern, are you going alone, sir? Thinking she doubted his ability, he replied, of course. After all, they're my superiors. Better safe than sorry. So the assistant advised him, this might be rude, but the hunters sent before were elite. Maybe call a few more to come along. Feeling his skills were being doubted and wanting to keep his reputation as the strongest hunter, he turned coldly with a threatening tone. Do I look like someone who needs backup? Surrounded by his aura, his body overwhelmed the assistant, who stammered, sorry, sir. The magic gate opened in a desolate wasteland. It glowed green, signaling bad things were coming for him. Stepping through the gate, sword in hand, Osai KG walked with a majestic air. Inside, he only saw ordinary monsters, so he showed a disdainful face toward his teammates. Those useless fools. What the hell are they doing? At this moment, a horde of monsters should have charged straight at KG, their sharp teeth hungry like they wanted to devour their prey. But who was the prey? Who was the hunter? No one knew yet. In just a flash, a bunch of monsters were sliced down by seeing the usual vibe of this dungeon. He was puzzled. Those who had entered here before said the monsters couldn't all die like this. As he quickly stepped inside the dungeon, suddenly the scene before him froze him in place. What the hell was that? Suddenly, OSI KG showed no excitement about what he found inside the dungeon. A mysterious figure was sitting atop a pile of corpses he had just taken down. Facing this person, KG wasn't thrilled. Interesting guy hanging around here, huh? The opponent looked no ordinary foe just by appearance. So KG started to unleash his power. A blue aura engulfed his entire body. Without a word, he swiftly moved toward the person ahead, swinging his exquisite sword at the opponent. The sword struck the opponent, but seemed to be blocked by something. It turned out, KG had sliced into the other's arm, but why was the opponent unharmed? This puzzled OSI KG. From the shadows, a familiar figure appeared, Cang Di Giang. He had used his own arm bone to block KG's magical blue sword. Holding the sword firmly with the bone, Jiang quickly raised his other hand, revealing sharp claws, and lunged at KG's body. You dare call yourself Japan's strongest hunter? You can't be beaten that easily. OSI KG used his agile body to dodge Jiang's attack and pulled out his sword ready for battle. I'll block your strike. As soon as he escaped Jiang's block, KG delivered a kick to Jiang's chest. The sword was already poised and about to strike Jiang's body. KG showed a thrilled expression. Interesting. Then OSI KG unleashed his signature move, the single moon slash. One sword strike sent Jiang flying backward, leaving behind a sweeping blue energy that ravaged the air. Even a tough guy would struggle to stay intact against this attack. Luckily, Di Giang was still standing, though badly wounded and coughing up blood. Without missing a beat, Jiang launched another attack while advancing. Even if the opponent was cornered, KG had to use every trick to finish him off. He executed the double moon slash, 2 sword strikes, piercing through Jiang's body like they went through bone and marrow. This forced Di Giang back against a rocky wall a few meters behind him. When his body slammed into the rocks, stones shattered, showing the immense power of the strike. For others who had faced KG's attack before, their bones would have been crushed, but Di Giang was an exception. This made KG respect him a bit. Your body's bones are really tough. KG kept attacking. After 2 moves, he now unleashed the triple moon slash, a broken path sword strike that made it hard for the opponent to predict. But Jiang's sharp eyes caught the trajectory. He dodged, causing the back of the dungeon to collapse. His hand raised a long bone shard toward KG. Before he could react KG was hit by the surprise attack and froze. Di Giang's bone shard was already right by KG's handsome face. Would this face be destroyed? Yet, the face remained intact, keeping its cold, handsome look as KG controlled the sword in his hand. The 2 sword strokes entered his body as if piercing through his bones, causing Di Giang to collapse against the cliff behind him. A few meters from where he stood, as soon as his body collided, the rocks and soil were broken, showing how powerful this attack was. As for the previous people, if they had suffered from KG's attack, their bones would have been crushed, and their teeth would be left lying. In exceptional cases, this makes me feel a bit in awe of your body. Your exoskeleton is really strong, isn't it? And that's it. Just continue to attack and go through the previous 2 moves. Now it's Tam Nuyet. The sword has a broken path that makes it difficult for the opponent to predict, which is a unique characteristic of this move. But its path was caught by Di Giang's sharp eyes, and he avoided it, causing the tunnel behind to be destroyed. As for his hand, he raised the long bone towards his opponent, not having time to realize that OS had not been suddenly attacked. The face of Du Jiang's arms and legs is already next to Dian Trey's face. I wonder if this face will be destroyed. After all, that face was still intact, keeping the cold, handsome look that controlled the sword in his hand. A tough training method, he used it to block the bone in his arm and slashed, once cutting his arm in half. The sharp-eyed handsome guy regained his hunter's fierce spirit, no joke. Jiang said, but my sword is made of diamond. After faking out with his precious sword, he casually slashed once more, cutting straight through Cang Di's body. That was it. Di Rang completely collapsed to the ground, his head severed from his neck, yet he looked calm, as if it was just another ordinary thing. It's a shame, but killing off a monster like that. His opponent seemed way weaker than he initially thought. Seeing the head rolling on the ground, he didn't even look down on his fallen teammates. Clearly, our hunter's level has seriously dropped. Even though his head was cut off, Cang Di Giang was still conscious. His eyes lost, their pupils rolled back, and he started recalling painful memories from his past. The first image in his flashback was a tall, educated man, his father in Jade Yang's memory. His dad was always busy with work, leaving his mom and him to take care of each other with little time for wife and kid. But still, he was a kind man, because every time he came home from work, Jade Jiang's dad always brought delicious food for him. That's what made him love his dad. Every time he saw him come home, he'd run and jump into his arms. I really love him. While running toward his dad, suddenly a big truck sped toward him from afar. His dad panicked, dropped the food bag and rushed forward to push him out of danger. Sorry kiddo, all good things last only for a moment because to protect him his dad met with bad luck. The truck's headlights got closer and closer, and death came sooner than expected. But his dad Di Rang was run over by the truck, blood splattering all over the face of his still clueless son. He started panicking at the scene before him, watching his dad crushed and stabbed, gasping his last breaths on the ground. Fried chicken scattered everywhere, along with a wedding ring. Di Giang blamed himself for everything. He died because of me. According to Cang Di Giang's story, after that incident, his mom's work declined, and they fell deep into debt. His mom's hands never stopped working, just to cover life for the 2 of them. He also realized his mom's once soft hands had become rough and calloused. When his mom was working hard to comfort her, he always came over and asked, "Mom, are you okay?" "I'm fine, honey, don't worry too much." Sweat mixed with tears on her still youthful face, hiding her loneliness, and sadness from her son so he wouldn't worry. She replied, "Yeah, it's nothing, sweetie, just having you here." But when night fell, Du Rang's young face was always full of tears. He bit his lip painfully because his mom always acted strong and tough, but at times like this, she felt so lonely and frustrated with reality. She sobbed, hiccuping hard. Those midnight tears made him feel an unbearable guilt. He couldn't sleep after his dad died. His tears sometimes flowed even more than his mom's. He always blamed himself. Mom cries because of me. Then the not yet grown boy chose the dumbest path. Holding a box cutter in his hand, he planned to end his life and stop his mom's suffering. Holding the knife, he trembled, thinking I don't deserve to live, and decided to do it right then and there. His mom was bringing food up to his room when the scene before her eyes shocked her to the core, and she accidentally dropped the pot of noodles on the floor. She panicked, her face turning dark, calling out honey. When Cang Di Giang heard his mom's voice, he turned around with tears streaming down, looking fierce. But what shocked readers wasn't that he was about to follow his dad. It was that, after cutting his hand, from his bleeding hand started growing a rough lump. Di Giang told his mom it seemed like he had awakened. That rough lump kept getting bigger, digging deeper into his body, infiltrating every cell and merging with his host body. Watching the big TV screen broadcasting news about dungeon hunters, Cang Di Giang collapsed into his mom's arms, sobbing. Holding him tight, she listened as he voiced his current wish, "I want to become a hunter." Crying on her warm shoulder, he promised himself and his mom he'd become a hunter and make her proud, but reality was brutal. Things didn't go as he wanted. His mom was disabled by evil classmates who awakened her powers, turning her into a vegetable dependent on expensive hospital machines for every breath. These painful memories awakened Cang Di Giang. He started to rise, his eye regaining its original consciousness, ready for battle because he still had a chance to save his mom. The president of the Korean Hunters Association, S-Human, had promised him that the world's balance was over. Many countries had been punished. The only way he could save his mom, according to S-Human, was that their main enemy now was Japan. Please become our monster and take down Japan's strongest hunter. After Osai KG cut off his head, thinking he'd won, he smugly sheathed his sword, but he didn't know the eye had regained its pupil. The awakened monster regained consciousness, just as Osai KG sheathed his sword ready to leave, leaving some mocking words. "What a waste of time, gotta hurry up." Meanwhile, Cang Di Giang behind him started reconnecting with his body. Wanting to quickly escape the dungeon and reach enemy territory, KG wanted to be the first to reach Korea. Di Jiang's body began moving, rising from the brink of death. His head wiggled, biting KG's leg to stop him from leaving. Suddenly, KG's heart skipped a beat, his face showing shock as he shouted, "What the hell is that?" Cang Di Jiang's skeletal body glowed red, seemingly restoring to its original state. KG panicked. "He's regenerating. But I already chopped off his head." Then Di Jiang's mouth bit down hard on Osai KG's leg, crushing and breaking it in two. With a broken leg, Osai KG screamed in pain, mouth wide open like a corpse, snot dripping, clearly agonizing. Pain beyond words. To escape the gnawing jaws, Osai KG drew his sword and slashed through the regenerating skeleton's body from below. KG's sword shimmered like a crescent moonlight, cutting through the night sky. Despite the pain in his leg after the attack, KG entered a state of infinity, his eyes glowing. Magic moonlight rose from him, his path mystical and surreal. He cursed that bastard. KG's other foot stepped on the bright moonlight on the ground, seemingly casting a new skill. The matrix of KG wasn't as beautiful as a crescent moon, but shone like a full moon when stepping right into the center of Osai KG's whole body without moving. Instantly, he escaped for a moment, but when Jiang's remains were rising, they were completely surrounded by the opponent, moving fast as lightning. Encircling the enemy, Cang Di Giang stirred up in panic, wondering if his recovering body could withstand this insane move from Japan's strongest. Finally, Osai KG unleashed a powerful move, smooth and mystical, hard to spot, called the Death Path. KG's whole body danced around the matrix, enveloping everything nearby and attacking from all sides. Before he could even connect, a flurry of slashes rained down on Cang Di Jiang's head. That was the 12 Moons technique, striking everywhere, causing him excruciating pain and a grimace like a samurai. Osai KG's moves were unpredictable now. From 100 directions, the sword strikes shattered Jiang's tiny body into pieces. Osai KG's path aggressively advanced toward the barrier gate. In just a moment, KG reached the barrier, about to step outside. Was his mission done? Outside the gate, the space remained calm and peaceful, birds still flying, and he kept rustling back and forth. But inside the dungeon, Osai KG shattered that peace. A barrage of slashes came from inside out, scattering Cang Di Giang's body fragments everywhere. The surrounding mountain rocks were also destroyed, flying high into the air. The force was undeniable. The rocky mountain behind Japan's strongest hunter was now cut into neat square blocks, leaving a crescent-shaped scar with the sword stuck like a hero dragging a broken leg outside. He sighed in relief. Whew, didn't expect the enemy to bite off his leg, planning to heal his wound, needing to recover. Just then, a bone shard pierced through his other foot. KG clearly sensed the situation, knowing things weren't over but shifting. His face broke out in a cold sweat like a waterfall. Hands made entirely of bones rose from the ground, trying to grab the opponent, clinging like holding onto his mother's life. Though not fully healed, Jiang's bones started moving upward. He twisted his body, raising a gruesome skull, chasing Osai KG. He was cornered, extremely panicked, holding the sword, but no longer as mighty as before. The huge shadow of Jiang enveloped all the darkness here. No choice but to rise and fight. KG raised his sword to fight again, his eyes awakening once more, charging toward Dai Rang and cursing the monster outside the barrier gate. Japan's Prime Minister, Ryusaki Juto, and his assistant stood waiting for the fight's outcome. Inside, the assistant outside had already brought a team of elite hunters along. She spoke up, and the Prime Minister looked suspiciously at the hunters behind her, asking, "Do we really need this many people?" This was reinforcements from the elite Hue hunters of Japan's Ministry of Defense. Never disappointing. To answer, the Prime Minister solemnly explained, "It's been 3 days since he went in. We have to check what happened." He crossed his arms, affirming KG's strength. He's not only the Minister of Defense but also Japan's #1 hunter. Right after saying this, as if slapping himself, his head was covered in blood, and the tears of KG slipped from the body and rolled outside the barrier. From the gate, a familiar foot full of bones stepped out. Exactly the one stepping out was none other than the winner of this battle. That person's name is Cang Giang, with a majestic yet somewhat dangerous presence, looking truly imposing, like a major threat advancing toward the Japanese hunters. Seeing this, Prime Minister Ryusaki Ruto's mouth dropped in shock. He couldn't believe what he had just witnessed, and like many times before, Jiang quickly swung his bony skeleton in a horizontal slash across the head of the person in front without caring who it was. Immediately, Ruto's head was severed from his neck. Cang Di Giang's moves are unpredictable, always a threat to anyone facing him right now. At the Korean Hunters Association in a high-rise building, a question was raised: do you really think he can pull it off? While watching the sunset, Liu Min's assistant spoke quietly behind her. Japan interrupted the assistant, still gazing toward the sunset, and said softly, "Let's just wait and see what Thoiman he has to say, maybe she's right." Meanwhile, Cang Di Giang was launching a fierce attack on the Japanese hunters. If he could, since Liu Min's words always matched Du Zhang's actions, the blood of those here would be splattered like rain. But it seemed things weren't that easy. The opponent's fist violently came straight at him, which is why Yam Jin said he could beat Japan's strongest hunter. The one attacking Cang Giang now was none other than Japan's Prime Minister, Ryusaki Juto. He punched decisively into the bony body of Cang Giang in strong bursts. The two-person fight caused a massive explosion, with devastating destructive power that ruined everything around. Everything was stripped bare. Even Cang Giang Chaobo was knocked flat and motionless on the ground by him. Maybe the strongest isn't Osai KG, but this Prime Minister. That's the challenge humans set for him and the Prime Minister. This Japanese Prime Minister Ryusaki Zuto seemed to be on another level, having left Jiang powerless to get back up just a few punches from the top-tier Japanese hunter. He looked like a battle-hardened warrior. Now Cang Giang had collapsed on the ground. Can a young guy like him really beat such an experienced and seasoned fighter? Wake up, for your mother, and for your future. 3 years ago, the gates in the sky began appearing more frequently. At first, the gates showed no signs of stopping, but most monsters from the regular gates had been conquered. Higher-level gates contained monsters even more terrifying than the regular ones. And then the world's fear became the hunter's power. They were those who learned supernatural abilities from the monsters themselves. After living in that environment for a while, a series of dangerous hunters that the world feared realized the threat was closing in on their country. So some countries tried to eliminate them. They used many methods, deploying fighter jets, artillery, and modern weapons to fight the hunters. But the hunters' power was incredibly formidable. Battles broke out, but all ended in total failure. All fighter jets and artillery were useless. Only one person could use supernatural powers to wipe out an entire fleet. Truly impressive. From there, things gradually moved forward. The situation escalated beyond the agreements signed between the US government and hunters in various countries. Hunters worldwide realized they had two choices: either make peace agreements with their countries or invade by force, slaughtering anyone who opposed them domestically. Each gained power in their own way, and the country targeted by the hunters was Japan. The reason was simple. The Prime Minister was an SSS rank hunter, wielding the pyrokinetic power of magma, or in other words, molten lava. He was ruthless, even before awakening, and after the hunter system was established, he tried to seize control of South Korea. However, that ambition was stopped by a monster, Cang Di Giang. He was transformed by Cang Di Giang's regenerative ability. His power allowed him to regenerate his body, but also caused intense pain. Watching himself heal, his body gradually restored, the hunters looked on in disbelief. Some in the crowd exclaimed, "He's resurrecting again." Before the Prime Minister could finish speaking, a swarm of hunters rushed toward Cang Di Giang, running while shouting, "Leave this to us." One who stepped forward was Japan's rank 7 hunter, Jid Daimaru, and the other was Japan's rank 8 Taku. Both hunters closed in on Cang Di Giang. Jid Daimaru approached and said, "A freak like you can regenerate." Taku leapt up, swinging his weapon across Cang Di Giang's neck, saying, "What if I chop off your head?" It seemed like Cang Di Giang was defeated, but no, he was still fine. Cang Di Giang coldly glanced, grabbing Jid Daimaru's head with one hand and slicing off Taku's head with the other. Jid Daimaru was held tightly, pulled backward. Alone he easily fought off two opponents. Jaru was still stunned, not understanding the situation. Jid Daimaru's eyes widened as Cang Di Giang slammed his head down hard on the ground, blood splattering everywhere. A loud roar echoed. Jid Daimaru was bleeding heavily. Slowly, Cang Di Giang raised his hand, the eyes of the hunters fixed on him. All the hunters froze in shock. Cang Di Giang slowly stood up in front of the gate. On the ground, Jid Daimaru had completely lost his life. The Prime Minister stood dumbfounded. Someone blurted out, "What the hell?" The hunters started shouting, "That bastard, how dare he mess with our hunters?" The Prime Minister leading the hunters activated his power, coldly saying, "From now on, anyone who takes a step forward, I'll kill them all." The Hunter Prime Minister was irritated by Cang Di Giang's actions, signaling a fierce battle was about to erupt. All hunters trembled at the Prime Minister's words, falling silent and listening. Cang Di Giang remained standing right in front of the gate, unmoving. The fierce hunter's Prime Minister frowned and awakened his power. At another time, during some winter, snow was still falling heavily outside. A little girl sat alone at a street corner, shivering and uncomfortable. She curled up, eyes closed as if waiting for death. Suddenly, footsteps approached. A well-dressed man bent down gently and said, "Hey kid, what are you doing here?" The girl slowly opened her eyes and looked up. The man leaned closer softly. Though freezing, the girl mustered strength to look up at him. Sitting down beside her, she asked, confused, "Who are you?" The man said nothing, but glanced at the street sign. Then he said, "It's really cold." He took off his coat, draped it over her, then slowly took her hand and said, "Come with me, kid." The footprints kept pressing into the snow on the road as they walked. The man asked the kid what her name was. The little girl looked up shyly. That was Kagu. Back to the present, the Prime Minister was transforming, magma slowly appearing on his body. Prime Minister Cang Di Giang stood right there, smiling blankly. He began to unleash his power. Cang Di Giang quickly raised his hand as a shield against the magma shot by the hunter. The strike from the SSS rank Prime Minister Hunter was no joke. It sent Cang Di Giang flying back with no chance to resist. Before he could even react, the Prime Minister Hunter swiftly teleported back to Cang Di Giang's side, grabbed his shoulder tightly, and ready to strike behind him. Then the Prime Minister Hunter pierced through his body with his magma power. Cang Di Giang screamed in pain, mouth wide open, his tongue moving non-stop. He groaned in agony. Cang Di Giang's screams echoed through the sky. Even though he was a regenerator, Cang Di Giang still fully felt every bit of the pain. The Prime Minister Hunter seemed bloodthirsty, wanting to crush everything. His body had a huge hole punched right through his stomach. He was thrown aside. But of course Cang Di Giang could still regenerate. His eyes detached from his body but kept staring fiercely at the Prime Minister Hunter. That wasn't enough yet. The Prime Minister kept attacking. He summoned a pillar of magma crashing straight down from the sky, aimed directly at Cang Di Giang. The magma pillar then landed right on him. People watching from afar saw the Prime Minister Hunter's fight and had to admit it was epic. Cang Di Giang was beaten so badly there wasn't a shred of flesh left. Only bones and magma streaks remained. The hunters couldn't help but say, "That's definitely a Prime Minister for you." The Prime Minister flicked his hand, revealing the head of some girl on the ground. Just as he was about to leave, he turned back to look at Cang Di Giang's body, which was starting to regenerate all his bones, piecing together a skeleton. Every cell began to recover. Throughout the regeneration, Cang Di Giang kept screaming loudly. The Prime Minister stared intently at him. With this, any resistance was basically over. A man and a woman stood on top of a building, surrounded by human corpses. The man spoke, "Sorry for dragging you into this mess." The girl replied, "It's okay." The girl standing behind the man was the little Kagu from before. She wrapped her own wounds with bandages. The man kept looking into the distance and said that anyway they hadn't defeated Japan yet and now they had to set their sights on South Korea and China. The man also used a cloth to bandage the wound on his arm, saying, "Next time, you might lose your life. If you're scared, just tell me and I'll let you quit." Kagu said, "You're the one who saved me when I was about to die on the street. My life is basically yours now. But there's one thing I want." Kagu stepped closer to the man. The man said, "Can I get it after everything's done?" Kagu continued, "Can I call you Dad?" The man closed his eyes and said, "Why be so stiff about it?" Then he added, "Even if I don't say it, you've been." Kagu froze, staring at the man. In the night, the lights and moonlight kept sparkling. The man turned and said, "You're already my son." The Prime Minister's rage kept raging like a volcano erupting. Magma surrounded everything and was advancing toward the hunters. One of the hunters used his ability to freeze the magma. Approaching everyone right after finishing her move, the girl looked up and said, "Now everything around is molten lava burning fiercely." The hunters stood inside the safe ice zone she created. Cang Di Giang stood at the edge of the lava zone, staring at the Prime Minister. The volcano looked like it was about to erupt, and then it exploded violently. The roar echoed through the air, a voice ringing out as if melting and shattering every cell. The Prime Minister was in a full-body state, preparing to unleash his lava transformation. A flash of light streaked past him quickly. The hunter's Prime Minister only needed to swing his hand once to deliver such a fast and terrifying strike. His body gradually dissolved, and Cang Di Giang's body lost every bit of flesh, leaving only his skeleton. He struggled to leap onto the Prime Minister's body. He reached out toward the hunter Prime Minister. The Prime Minister gave him no chance to counterattack, instantly swinging his hand to create a tornado column that struck straight up at Cang Di Giang's bare skeleton. The volcanic eruption hit him, and his body kept dissolving. Everyone around panicked and scattered. Someone shouted loudly, "Prime Minister!" Others yelled to dodge. A volcano erupted right in the middle of the city. The Prime Minister reverted to his original form. A crater was formed from the battle. Below was a lava lake, with Cang Di Giang's skeleton floating on its surface. The Prime Minister stood above, looking down. The hunter Prime Minister spoke, "Ha-en." The girl called immediately bowed and replied, "Yes." The Prime Minister continued, "Your hands, Ha-en, slowly take off your gloves." She gradually turned into an icy figure. Her power was ice. Ha-en lightly touched the ground, slowly freezing the lava pit. Done, the lava pit transformed into a different, more solid material, trapping him right beneath. The Prime Minister turned away and said, "Freeze him down there." Cang Di Giang was under the lava pit as the surface began to freeze. He struggled, looking up, with the ambition to rise. The Prime Minister added, "Forever." In South Korea, at the Kang Secret Society, in some treatment and experimental room, a girl was desperately using her healing powers to save a man. Veins popped up on her hands, showing her effort and struggle during the process. The man on the bed had lost half of his right arm. This guy looked pretty familiar. Signs of life gradually appeared. The man slowly opened his eyes thanks to the girl's efforts. The whole city was covered in the blood-red glow of the erupting volcano. Above the crater, Ruto's group was blocking the eruption, pouring water down into the pit. Ruto turned to his subordinates and said, "Leave only a few people here. The rest return." The subordinates heard the order and responded in unison, "Yes." While everyone was distracted, a hand suddenly emerged from the frozen lava surface. As it rose, a foul curse was shouted. "No way you're escaping!" The hand broke free from the lava's grip, reaching upward. The monster trying to break out of the lava was derung, but the thick lava made escape tough for him. He roared, "I've been through lava like this, inside the Bloodgate, thousands of times." Di Giang began to break free. His form was destroyed by the lava, making him look distorted and drooping, truly terrifying. He used all his strength to break through the lava surface and burst out. Di Giang painfully said, "But this pain has never been any easier," as if sensing a sharp aura approaching. Ha-en. Turning back to the crater's edge, Durong was crawling toward her. Seeing this, Han M panicked and looked toward Ru, to shouting, "Ru To, Ru To." Covered in countless wounds, he lowered his head emotionlessly and said, "Han M, lead the hunters to escape first." As soon as he finished, Ru to activated his power. A radiant light surrounded him. He leapt down and landed a powerful punch that sent Di Giang flying. Worried, Han M placed her hand on her chest and spoke. Scene shift to Judo. At this moment, Han M and Judo were at home. Han stood outside the door anxiously saying, "Did you go too far, Ru?" To holding a cloth to wipe his bloodied wounds, his body covered in scars, turned his back to Han M and said, "The demon's regeneration isn't invincible." The four major hunter nations, America, China, Russia, Japan, Ru. To looked at the map on the table. Continuing, Japan is the weakest. If we don't invade South Korea, there's no way to survive. Han M hugged Rutu's arm, placing a glass of water on the table for his weary self, saying, "But many of our hunters will have to die." Judo replied, "I just need to keep fighting. Even if my body gets destroyed, I'll still protect our country." That was Han M's flashback. Rutu was now in a battle stance. His eyes burned with fierce determination as if ready to turn his enemies to dust. Immediately Ru, to unleashed all his strength, channeling power straight at Di Giang, he attacked relentlessly. Every strike was a critical hit, leaving Di Giang unable to react to the fiery battle, causing dozens of massive explosions inside the lava mountain. Outside the mountain, Han M looked toward the hunters present, saying, "The Prime Minister has ordered us to retreat. I'll stay behind, so all of you." Han M's face was full of worry and sorrow. She lowered her head and continued, "I'm sorry." Hearing this, all the hunters there knelt down and said, "We've received so much help from the Prime Minister. We'll protect him to the very end." Inside the lava mountain, Ru Tu was still fighting the monster Jiang. Their battle was shaking the volcano to the brink of collapse. Juto and Jihee exchanged blows repeatedly, neither knowing how many hits they'd taken from each other. At the volcano's rim, Han M and the hunters anxiously awaited Rutu's return. Suddenly, Gi Jiang seized the moment, leaping toward Han M's group. Before anyone could react, Dirang grabbed Han M's hand and pulled her down to the hunters, all shouting in unison. Prime Minister's wife. Seeing his wife dragged by the monster Gi Jiang, Ruto screamed in rage. The hunters activated their powers and jumped after Gi Jiang. After grabbing Han M's hand, Jiang absorbed half her power, freezing half his body. Ruto took a breath and blew fire toward Dirang. Han M's face turned pale, unable to process her emotions. To gritted, his teeth flew swiftly, snatched Han M from Dirang's grip, and held her close. He slashed off one of the monster's arms. Enduring the pain of losing an arm, Jiang timed his move perfectly and severed Judo's head. Han M looked stunned, mouth agape, unable to believe what just happened. All the hunters surged forward. Han M used all her strength to keep Rutu's head from falling, but the monster Jiang's claw had already touched her hand. The hunters who had just landed asked her Prime Minister's wife, "Are you okay?" Han M was shocked, covering her mouth, stammering as she looked at Rutu's head, calling his name. Tears streamed down her face as she stepped forward. Near the tip of Ruto slowly melting from the lava, he screamed. All the hunters were shocked and yelled out loud. Prime Minister Dirang was still alive at this moment and was moving closer to Haname and the hunters. His body now had flesh, no longer just a skeleton, like when he first escaped. He approached Haname. He was so huge now, like a giant freezing Haname, in place, tears streaming down her face. Everything before her went dark. Suddenly she opened her eyes and saw Juto holding her hand, staring at her with worry, saying, "You're awake, Haname." Like waking from a nightmare, she hugged Ruto tightly and screamed, "Ruto, I just had a nightmare." Ruto, not understanding what Haname dreamed, anxiously called her name. Han-en looked into Haname's eyes and gently reassured her, "It's okay, I'm here, don't worry." Haname closed her eyes, kissed Judo. When she opened her eyes again, she was shocked, eyes wide open, because right before her was Ruto's head severed from his neck. She opened her eyes and returned to reality. She didn't know when the hunters had all been killed by the monster Jie Jiang and were slowly sinking into the lava. And she didn't understand why Jie Jiang spared her life instead of killing her. She couldn't accept what was happening before her eyes and raised her hand to freeze herself. Di Jiang walked away without looking back. He opened a door and stepped inside, disappearing from the scene. Scene shifts to South Korea, the K-Chang Guild. Tesu stood in front of the monostone warehouse. The girl beside Tesu spoke up, "Tesu, you can't go this far. You're the only one left with mana, so we saved you and your friend." Tesu coldly replied, "I know." Tesu looked at the memorial photo of his friends and continued, "Almost none of them are left." "Ma," the other girl hesitated and continued, "Then, why?" Before she could finish, Tesu cut her off. "The coward I used to bully back in school escaped the blood gate and killed me and the person Tesu was talking about. No one else but Jiang." Mentioning Jiang made Tesu furious and filled with hatred, clenching his fists and saying, "That damn trembling bastard. Tesu is the leader of the K-Kang Guild." Tesu took off his shirt, throwing it aside. The girl stammered, seeing this. You have. Tesu had now become an S-rank hunter. He coldly answered her doubt. "That's right." Behind Tesu were countless sealing inscriptions glowing. He radiated energy and said, "I have broken the seal." At the K-Kang Guild, a brown-haired girl ran in, panting heavily. Looking at Tesu's back covered with the seal's marks, gasping, she said, "The seal has been broken." Hearing this, he smirked and said, "Then." He turned to face the rows of people lined up evenly, clearly ordering all members of the K-Kang Guild to assemble immediately. The man in the black suit at the front bowed and replied, "Ready to obey your command, sir." Guild leader. Others behind whispered, I thought he was dead." The person next to them replied, "It seems the vice guild leader has been resurrected." The man in the black suit is the S-rank tactical team manager named Han Kung Chan. He was still slightly bent forward, one hand relaxed the other, pushing his glasses up, saying, "That monster moved to the back gate after the Japanese hunt. You called us here too." Before he finished, Tesu coldly interrupted, "Deal with that bastard Keong Tran na." The man exclaimed, "Damn, truly our master." Then he straightened up and said solemnly, loud enough for all to hear, "We, the tactical team of K-Kang Guild, swear on our lives to fully support you." Tesu said nothing in response. A strike to Kung Chan's neck made his head pop right off. Then Tesu bent down and caught Ki Trang's head. Keong Trang's eyes went wide, tears and snot running back into his mouth agape in shock. 3 surrendering guys nearby glanced at the red-haired dude standing in the middle and asked their boss, Tesu. Like he didn't even hear them. He looked at Kung Chan's head in his hand and said, "This guy was originally the vice president of the Korean Hunters Association." Then, Ki-Ung Chan's eyes widened. Mouth still open, Taesu went on, "Since I merged the association 3 years ago, Ki-Ung Chan has been able to dominate Korea." Letting go of the head, Taesu wrapped his hand in a red aura, and some golden threads, almost like strands, wrapped around his hand. He continued saying his power is an S-rank remote control. Just as he finished, the guy in red got hit at every elbow, every knee, his face twisted from physical impact, blood splattering onto the black-haired mushroom-head guy, and even the brown-haired girl, but no one screamed. They all gritted their teeth pretending nothing was happening. Remembering when Taesu was still sealed on his back, the brown-haired girl asked if it was really necessary to break the seal. The seal's characters on his back glowed. She continued, "Your power is cursed." Back to the present, he knelt on the ground, staring at his blood-stained power hand pressed against his back. "It's better this way." His eyes turned terrifying. A beam of light shot from his right hand, the ground around him soaked with blood, making him even more fearsome. He turned his head and asked, "Do you guys want to back me up all the way?" A sharp, long, sword-like thing created by Taesu slowly moved into the crowd, slicing off heads one by one, blood splattering everywhere, splashing right onto the faces of those standing close to the victims. Chaos erupted, screams showing the overwhelming fear. The number of survivors was still pretty high, 1,528. Taesu seemed to go mad, his eyes wide open. He roared like he'd wipe them all out in a blink. Every hunter present was wiped out without a single one spared. Bodies lay sprawled on the ground, the scene now just a bloody battlefield. The brown-haired girl covered her face helplessly and asked, "Are you okay, sir?" Taesu stepped over the bodies he just killed, calmly replying, "No. That bastard killed the SSS rank prime minister." Colorful threads appeared, pulling the bodies together. The bloodied corpses pierced by long, sharp spikes. The threads pulled them into a tall pile. Taesu sat on that pile of spikes, his clothes soaked in bright red blood, coldly saying, "Still not enough, you're trembling. I'll kill you at any cost, you worthless bug." Taesu lifted his head, his blue eyes flashing. Blood smeared on his face, coldly saying, "I'm flying to Russia." At some port under the night sky, Lee Yumin stood alone before a green space gate. From the gate, Cang Di Giang stepped out. Yumin greeted him. Scene shifts to a high-rise building. "I'll start the recovery process now." Yumin stood beside Jaejiang's mother's hospital bed. "My S-rank healing skill will restore every injured cell using my mana." Di Giang was there too, standing with her back turned looking through the hospital room glass. The girl continued, "It'll take quite some time, but I'm sure I can save her." Yumin staggered to his feet, gripping the wall covering his face and saying, "Ha ha, just wait and see. I'm a mom too. You'll wake up next week." No sooner had she said that than she collapsed. Her subordinates panicked. Chairman Di Rung stood there unmoved. Yuan, having used too much energy, started bleeding from the nose. Di Rung finally spoke. This process drained a massive amount of her mana. Why did she have to go this far? Hearing that, Yumi grabbed Di Jiang's hand. Her nose was still bleeding, and she was drenched in sweat. She held Di Jiang's hand and looked up at him, saying he had to live. Suddenly, the hand Yuan was holding glowed with a green light. He jerked his hand away in shock. "Is that really Yuan?" Then lowering his head, he smiled faintly and said, "But just as I thought, your beast transformation process continues even outside the blood gate." Yuan put on his cloak and raised his hand. A green supernatural energy radiated from his palm. She continued, "Since the first gate appeared 50 years ago, all the other gates have gradually turned into blood gates. But ever since Yu Dirung escaped, rapid changes began, causing all the gates worldwide to become blood gates, with mana flowing through them to empower you." Yumi went on explaining the mana flow. "If a normal gate is a hole, then a blood gate is a passageway. It connects somewhere, and something is coming through it. And that something is searching for you. Ugly monsters, skeletons wearing armor, crawl out of the red gates everywhere. The city's void was filled with red gates and screams for help. People ran in panic. Vehicles were overturned all over the streets. Some got stuck and died miserably. A horde of disgusting monsters ravaged the city. What the hell are those things?" At the Korean government office, the outer protective shield of the office failed. The attacking monster showed signs of cracking. Screams echoed from inside. "What the hell is going on?" The boss slammed the table angrily and shouted, "Why isn't the Kang Guild responding? We're doomed." The subordinate, trembling, replied, "That's because the whole guild was wiped out." The boss yelled, "What? Why don't we know about this? What do we do now? Should we call for international backup?" The boss immediately rejected. "No, that's basically suicide. Martial law is declared immediately," the subordinate suggested, "but the military won't be effective." The boss shouted, "What else can we do now?" He pulled his hair in frustration and grimaced, saying, "The Kang Guild isn't all we have. He thought silently, there are still other hunters. The second-ranked guild in Korea. The multi-level marketing guild, A Gen and Ujin, A rank Kang X, the third-ranked guild in Korea, Venan A rank, Venan M rank, the women's guild, ranked number 4 in Korea, Yhawk A rank, Yhawk A rank, Nam Juni. They all appeared simultaneously, under one monster. It swung a punch, and they were all defeated. Di Giang, watching from above, was so shocked he yelled, "Damn it, is this all my fault?" Yumi stood beside him, arms crossed, observing, and asked, "What are you gonna do now?" A short-haired girl running suddenly fell in the middle of the street. From above, Di-rung jumped down, creating splashes around where he landed. His eyes were bloodshot as he looked up. "When I died inside the blood gate, the mana there tried to turn me into a monster. I barely survived. Or so I thought. Turns out it wasn't like that. That mana just wasn't enough to kill me before I fully became a monster." He gritted his teeth, recalling the image of his mother, lying motionless in her hospital bed. "I finally have it. Life was peaceful after my mom got treated." He rushed forward and grabbed the head of a monster that just attacked him. He yelled, "Why won't you leave me alone?" Was that him? A dangerous-looking monster sat with its hand propped on his grand throne, wondering who caused the crack. Looking through the glass, you could see a weird hand pounding on the ground on the other side. Above that arm were countless holes, like eyes all wide open and blood red. The outside was covered in a deep red stained with blood. Cang Di Giang spoke firmly, full of strength. "I'll take care of all these monsters. Go heal my mom somewhere safe." Nearby, Li Yuan coldly looked out the window and replied, "Got it. I'll treat her in the guild's hidden basement." Outwardly, he said this to Cang Di Giang, but inside, Yuman wanted to urge him to fight hard right now. Cang Di Giang had already gone out and started battling those disgusting monsters. He used powerful attacks to defeat each one, charging at him. Cang Di Giang's strikes sent the monsters' watermelon-like guts flying everywhere. He fought while keeping an eye on the monsters. These monsters looked familiar, the same type we'd been fighting at Bloodgate for 5 years straight. Cang Di Giang's deathly red eyes tracked every move of the monsters and their tentacles. Then he looked at the blazing red space gate hovering in the sky. The number of monsters that could come through the gate was limited because all activity would stop after a while. "I've killed all the monsters around here. If I keep going, I might finally live happily," stepping over piles of shredded monster flesh scattered on the ground. While Cang Di Giang was happily thinking about the future, a bullet suddenly pierced his head from behind. Then a hailstorm of bullets rained down on him non-stop. Blood dripped down. Shocked. "What the hell is this?" Behind the gunfire were rows of tanks. From there came a voice asking, "Is that it, sir?" Cang Di Giang was even more shocked seeing who was shooting at him. "The army." On the other side, a soldier reported, "Sir, it hasn't harmed anyone, only killed monsters." The commander, fully equipped, shouted loudly, "Doesn't matter, it caused this disaster. We must capture it quickly and wait for the market hunter team to arrive." Every word from the army confused Cang Di Giang deeply. "What? I clearly helped them kill monsters. So why are they trying to capture me now?" Boom. The tank fired its first shell. One after another tank shells targeted Cang Di Giang. Boom. The shells exploded, lighting up the whole area. The tank's rapid, relentless barrage left Cang Di Giang no choice but to use his body as a shield. "Damn it, you bastards. It hurts." He covered his entire face with his hands. Through the gaps between his fingers, bullets still kept flying at him. Cang Di Giang's eyes were desperate, tears of pain falling. "Stop." Then a massive shell hurtled straight at him. The city was now just ruins from the attacks. The sky was stained red, the stench of blood rising, and fires still blazed on the ground. Cang Di Giang struggled to move toward the space gate. As he neared the gate, red beams mixed with dark shadows. Radiating from the gate with a mysterious power, Yuman appeared and warned him, "But be careful, the blood gate has already opened." Di Giang still had that deadly and painful look in his eyes. He couldn't stand upright and bent over, looking down at his feet to see the battered corpses behind him. Once again, a voice echoed in his head, "It's really hard to stop the transformation into a monster." Hearing that voice, Di Giang gradually lost consciousness, his eyes closing. Cang Di Giang appeared in the classroom, lying face down on the floor, his body convulsing in pain. Fresh wounds were clearly visible on his body. Di Giang cried out in pain, but no one in the class paid attention. Only his breathless friend, Ao, turned to look at Du Rong. A brief memory flashed a short conversation between Cang Di Rang, the damn blonde, Han Tesu, and those other jerks. "Why do you only pick on me?" The blonde angrily clenched his fists and punched the wall. Di Giang just timidly leaned against the wall, his voice trembling, "Because I'm easy to bully." Cang Di Giang, face full of wounds and body covered in bruises, bowed his head and said, "You'll get beaten up by those guys at school too. Just pretend you don't know me." Hearing those cold words from Du Rang, The blonde was annoyed. Why do you listen to your childhood friend say stuff like that? The blonde grabbed Durang's collar and shouted, "Hey, Cang Di Giang, are you crazy?" Or what? Cang Di Giang's bruised face still avoided the blow. The blonde's eyes showed some fear. Not from being hit, but from worrying about his friend. The blonde didn't know what to do when looking at that face, so he angrily let go. "Forget it, damn it." He stormed off in frustration, leaving behind just one phrase before walking away. "That's how my childhood friend left me." Cang Di Giang still remembered the back of the blonde as he slowly walked away. Or maybe I just thought so. Back in the classroom scene, he was still in pain on the floor, but deep down he still remembered his friend. Actually, the blonde was gathering evidence. He just turned his head to look at Dirang, but his eyes were deep and intense. Veins popped on his face. It showed through his right eye, which was storing every piece of footage. After collecting enough evidence, he sent it all to the police, the education authorities, and many other places. The very next day, in some hospital room, terrible screams of torment echoed. They found him missing his right eye. The blonde was shocked, as Cang Di Giang kept tormenting himself. Damn it. He was stunned with a bandage covering his right eye. Looking at Di Giang, "I'm sorry, Cang Di Giang." The blonde bowed his head. "Maybe I can't go to school with you anymore." Di Giang seemed to collapse from grief. That bastard Hesu right. He was so angry his body trembled, teeth clenched. "I swear I will." The blonde stopped him from finishing, placing a hand on his shoulder, his face showing clear fear, sweating, struggling to say, Don't do that." Cang Di Giang wiped away tears. Worried, sniff, "You lost your powers. What do we do now?" The blonde comforted him. "Don't worry." Then he gave a thumbs up, smiling to show he was still okay. "It's all good." It turned out those images were just old memories of Cang Di Giang holding the severed head of his childhood friend. He seemed to recall words related to the present. "I'm going to join the army." He was holding his friend's head, and at the moment, the mask slipped off. He realized one of the people in the opposing army group was his friend, but it was already too late. Because he was dead, Du Jiang's mind seemed to collapse, his head heavy. He held his friend's head, screaming in despair. His cries shook the whole area, but the monsters didn't even care about Du Jiang's pain. They took the chance to attack him from behind. Du Jiang, overwhelmed by sadness and anger, turned to fight. He slashed with his sharp, long claws across the monsters' chests. Du Jiang's roar mixed with the monsters' screams echoing everywhere. Through the space gates, monsters kept pouring out, rushing at Du Jiang, surrounding and attacking him. At the presidential building protected by a shield, the monsters could only circle outside. Inside, a voice said, "Mr. President, what is that thing?" On the screen was the silhouette of Du Jiang, fighting the monsters watched by two men. In response to the question, the other man answered, "It's the monster that killed the leader of the Kang Rooster Guild and the former Japanese Prime Minister." He continued, saying it was the cause of the current disaster. After investigation, the final decision was to kill it so the gates could return to normal. The president watched the screen confused. "But why are they fighting so chaotically?" The man with the president, his secretary, replied, "We don't know. But more importantly, there are other monsters we can't defeat." The president kept his eyes glued to the screen, clearly angry. The secretary added, "The bloodgate has started expanding. It can't be delayed any longer." Hearing this report, the president asked, "What about the hunters?" The secretary reported, "They've already been wiped out, sir." This gave the president a massive headache. He rubbed his tired head and said, "All right, contact the foreign hunter office, somewhere else." A muscular person in blazing red armor held a blood-stained sword. That woman was First Central Peace Lun Du Huang. She asked the old man, carrying many weapons behind her. "The monster that killed the Korean and Japanese hunters is because of the bloodgate, right?" She slammed the sword's tip into the ground, cracking the earth. That voice turned full of excitement. "This is going to be interesting." Standing under the fiery red sunset, only those two mysterious people remained. Behind them lay many soldier corpses on blood-soaked ground. Elsewhere, a woman with white hair draped over her head was also closely watching every move of Du Jiang. What the hell is this? She was Russia's top federal agent, Vladimir Rusan, sitting on a powerful chair. Around her were multi-angle screens monitoring everything. Rusan clenched her fists in anger at what she saw. "Damn it, America." The white-haired man stared up at the sky, where a protective membrane said, I can hear the screams of suffering fates." That white-haired man stood on a high rock, watching the magic gates opening below, and people running in panic. The white-haired man said again, "I have to go now." The black-haired man behind reminded him, "What if you leave? The war in Russia will be outside the shield. The people outside are about to break it. The cracks are growing bigger, and purple rays are appearing." The white-haired man declared, "The war is over." Then the protective shield vanished. The white-haired man created a purple light wave to release energy, then spread his wings. Feathers on the wings fluttered with him. Black stood behind, shocked, panicked, tears falling. "Let's go," said the white man. Step Lucas, the #1 hero of the United States, gripping the ringed rope tightly in his hand. He radiated immense power. He issued orders to Korea. Cang Di Giang recalled the time he had endured. "I had to fight monsters for 5 whole years, inside the blood hell. Conditions there were brutal, no food, no rest. My lips were cracked dry, and my legs utterly exhausted. I staggered with every step. The battle never stopped. It was all just to survive. It was utterly draining. Every time I felt my sanity slipping away, the monster transformation would start again. But each time, I remembered 2 faces, my mother lying in a vegetative state on her hospital bed, and the face of the one who caused her fate. Holding on to those memories kept my monster transformation at bay. Now I'm losing control again. Is it because I've avenged her so my willpower has weakened? Or is it the blood hell's dark power growing stronger, the closer I get, making me unable to hold back? Because of that, I've killed. Corpses with wide open eyes that never got to close, scattered everywhere. Cang Di Giang passed through, surrounded by innocent people. I think I have to stay away from this hell. And also I must wipe out all the monsters here. Only then can I hope to atone for my sins." Suddenly, something struck, tearing Cang Di Giang's body apart, making his blazing red eye fall to the ground. Shocked. "Ah, what the hell?" In the distance, a pastor with angel wings appeared. The year the hell suddenly appeared in the human world was Christmas. Inside, a church. The pastor stood on the pulpit and said, "On this Christmas, we want to express our gratitude to you." Outside, over 1,000 people gathered. The hells appeared suddenly, opening many portals. At that time, hordes of monsters came out with no hunters to stop them. They attacked the worshippers. Everyone panicked, screaming and running. "Ah, where is this? Mom, save me." The pastor urgently spoke into the mic. "Run fast, get out now." A worshipper ran up to him. "You should run too," but the pastor insisted. The worshippers needed safety. Suddenly, a grotesque monster targeted the pastor. Then a beam of light. A radiant glow shone from him. Everyone saw angel wings sprouting from his shoulders. Could this be God's will? Because of that, all the monsters dropped dead. The pastor clasped his hands, tears streaming down. The awakening happened in an American church where over 10,000 worshippers had gathered. 138 were lightly injured, and no one died. A monster tried to attack a boy, but was saved and killed by the pastor. Thanks to his awakening, this was the world's first fake S-Class awakening, and this hero saved America from disaster. Since I was a kid, I've admired him deeply. He's America's top S-Class hero, Step Lucas. But why is he here now? Cang Di Giang had just recovered and sat up when he was hit again by the fake awakening. Step Lucas struck him to pieces once more. Cang Di Giang was stunned. So that's it. Maybe he came here to kill monsters. Step Lucas still wore his calm, kind expression. With the usual smile on his face, he said, "You damn monster, looks like you've been around for quite a while, huh?" Cang Giang recovered again, because of me. Was he already here? Cang Giang hadn't fully recovered yet when he saw Step Lucas ready to kill him once more. He clasped his hands, closed his eyes, and created a flying cross that struck Cang Giang fiercely. In midair, Cang Giang was stunned. He struggled to break free and then fell to the ground. Noticing that Step Lucas still wasn't letting him go. Among the fake consciousness, they communicated without words, using the magic between them. At that moment, they could understand each other perfectly. Cang Giang was in excruciating pain. "Ugh, I'm not a monster." Stephen Lucas stopped. This guy paused and asked, "Are you human?" Cang Giang knelt on the ground. "Please, sir, hear my story." After Cang Giang shared his painful past with him, Step Lucas bowed his head. "So that's how it is." He shed tears, black tears, and stepped forward to hug Cang Giang, comforting him. "You must be exhausted. What's your name?" "I'm Cang Giang." Step Lucas repeated his name, Cang Giang. "I've always fought to save humans, but today, I've killed too many already. To not forget those things, to atone for my mistakes, I've engraved all their names on my body." Then, Stephen Lucas took off his shirt, revealing his entire body covered with the names of those he had killed, from his chest down to his feet. Cang Giang's eyes widened. "Cang Giang, I can help you wipe out all those monsters. But if we do that now, it'll spread worldwide. And then even more people will die." Step Lucas raised his hand near his neck. "I'm sorry." A new name slowly appeared. It was Cang Giang's. He was about to kill him, to truly save humanity. "Sorry." Cang Giang blinked, watching his name appear clearly on his skin. "Step," Lucas said. "Why does no one understand your pain?" Stephen Lucas then pointed directly at Cang Giang's head. A whirlwind swept toward Step Lucas, whispering, "I will have to kill you." Meanwhile, in a high-rise building guarded against flying monsters, inside a room, Korean Hunter Association President Lee Yumin was watching Step Lucas on a screen. In front of her was a woman, Cang Di Giang's mother. The girl outside was extremely worried for the president, while inside, Liu Yumin's blue eyes were so overwhelmed that tears of blood and nosebleeds kept flowing. On the Russian continent, curses rang out. Damn that bastard, Lucas, he's already leveled the battlefield alone. And now he's coming to Korea too. Has he been holding back all this time? The woman with the fur hat and iron leg was Vladimir Ruana, a top-tier SSS-class Russian. At that moment, one of her subordinates, clutching a wounded arm, reported, "We've lost 80% of our combat strength. We can't hold the formation like before. Queen, if this continues, hunters from other superpowers will invade." Damn it, Vladimir Ruana bit her lip. If I could catch that monster, I would. Just then, two confident people entered the main hall and said to Vladimir Ruana, "Let me handle it." They were the kids who turned her mother into a vegetable. The monster Vladimir Ruana mentioned and wanted to catch was an extremely brutal Arctic beast. It's a first-class SSS-grade demon beast, huge body, massive arms, bizarrely deformed with horns on its head. The moment it appeared, Russia's Arctic base was completely leveled. Confused about the portal and the demon beast, the Russian government mobilized all forces but only faced a crushing defeat. Then, they had to use half of the nation's nuclear stockpile. Nuclear warheads were launched at the Arctic, targeting the demon beast. Bad luck though, the beast didn't die from the non-magical attacks. Northern Russia, after the nuclear bombing, was heavily contaminated by radiation. It became the perfect breeding ground, a demon beast territory. The demon beasts kept multiplying, led by that SSS-grade demon beast. Then Russia declared war on the U.S. to reclaim resources. The blue-haired guy clearly said, "I'm gonna kill that demon beast." The fake Vladimir Ruzon stepped down. "You're an S-rank hunter from Korea. Ha, that's hilarious." She walked right up to him, coming here without permission. What else? An S-rank trying to kill the Arctic demon beast. Vladimir Ruzon glared and snapped his fingers. "Wanna die?" The ground beneath the silver-haired guy and the pink-haired girl suddenly compressed with intense pressure, forcing them to their knees. The kid stammered, "Because of you, I'm here. Are you the one who caused this?" Vladimir Ruzon got pissed hearing that bastard. The kid, clueless, still grinned wildly and said, "I can kill people, you know." Vladimir Ruzon, sitting on his throne, found it laughable. She pointed at him. You think you can survive that radiation zone? Need a shield. That's useless against high-level radiation." Suddenly, Vladimir Ruzon froze. "Huh, what?" She looked at the silver-haired kid, who kept moving, creating a shield, far more special than a normal one. Knowing this kid could actually pull it off, she stopped the pressure on him and said, "It's fine. Anyway, if you kill the Arctic demon beast, I'll give you 30 PH, no half of its demon stones." The kid immediately sealed the deal. "Wait for my news. I'll kill it right now." Back to Cang Di Giang and the awakened Stephen Lucas, he whispered, "Apologies. I'm really sorry. I have to kill you." After that blow, Cang Di Giang's body shattered into hundreds of pieces. Flesh fragments flew everywhere, including his eye still wide open and bloodshot, as if all his grievances were written there. Cang Di Giang's flesh fell far from Stephen Lucas's spot. He slowly started regenerating his body again. "This can't be. I can't handle this. What should I do?" Not fully recovered, he looked around nervously. Suddenly, Stephen Lucas appeared behind him, still with that same face and smile. Cang Di Giang reacted fast, spinning around to punch him square in the face. Stephen Lucas once again hugged Cang Di Giang tightly. "I'm sorry." Cang Di Giang clawed at his body desperately, but it seemed useless. "Keep hurting me if it makes you feel better." Cang Di Giang wasn't happy at all, but my regeneration ability has limits, and every time Cang Di Giang recovers, Stephen Lucas always shows up with the same kill method, hugging him tight. "I'll keep killing you without causing any pain. This really sucks because my power is bone armor development. I can cover myself with a hard shell, but it comes with terrible pain. Agonizing pain, tearing through every nerve cell, pain like dying and coming back alive. Every time Cang Di Giang regenerates his eye, it grows darker and darker. Damn, the pain is insane. Every second of regeneration feels like endless agony, like my flesh and bones are twisting. Every bit of it hurts like hell, but I'm holding on. I keep hoping." In moments like this, the image of that arrogant bastard with blazing blue eyes and Cang Di Giang's beloved mother lying in a vegetative state flashes through his mind. But Stephen Lucas's critical attacks keep repeating over and over. Every time I regenerate, Lucas's attacks surpass any pain I've ever felt. I keep regenerating, only to get killed, again, caught, and attacked, dozens, hundreds of times like clockwork. It's beyond what Cang Di Giang can endure. A memory from high school, awakening a false future for this returning country. What are you staring at? What are you staring at? This is a video of Lucas. I admire him. Oh yeah, but his power is insane. Ha ha ha. So what's your power? Cang Di Giang shyly replied. Me, I'm bone armor. Saying that, he showed his hand partially covered in bone armor to that bastard. Seeing that, he cursed like hell and shoved Cang Di Giang off the chair, his face twisted with disdain, flicking his hand like he just touched something filthy, disgusting as hell. In the haze of soul-crushing pain, Cang Di Giang recalled those humiliating moments. Tears fell from his eyes, bloodshot eyes, veins bulging. Why do I have to endure this pain? Me, the pain and humiliation I've suffered. What did I do wrong? Cang Di Giang's soul screamed in hopelessness. A blank space opened. The smaller version of Cang Di Giang behind him bowed his head to the ground. Stop it. Lucas was right. If we live, others die. But if we die, Mom lives. That's enough. That Cang Di Giang just silently bowed and then looked up. His face twisted mad by the painful regenerations, cracked a sick, twisted, perverted smile. Cough, cough. This regeneration is different from the others. Cang Di Giang opened his hand, summoning countless dungeons, converging their power there to attack Step Lucas. A beam of light struck from the sky, blowing everything up and echoing far away. Drops of blood slowly fell to the ground. Step Lucas looked down at his body. No more black blood gushing out, but fresh blood spurting from his nose and mouth. A drone camera live streaming the fight between Step Lucas and Cang Di Giang slowly flew closer. The image of Step Lucas bleeding and losing appeared on a giant screen outside where many people were watching. A boy who looked like a devoted follower of Step Lucas tightly gripped a cross and called for his mother. The building where Lee Yumin, head of the Korean Hunters Association, was located was also in ruins, probably about to collapse. Her assistant rushed into the room while Lee Yumin was desperately treating the association president's mother. If she keeps pushing like this, it won't end well. Blood soaked from Lee Yumin's eyes, nose, and mouth. She puffed her cheeks, then collapsed, coughing up a mouthful of blood. The assistant panicked. President, are you okay? President Lee Yumin looked at Cang Di Giang's mother lying on the bed, gasping after treatment. Then the mother, who had been in a vegetative state and emaciated, slowly opened her eyes. Haesu muttered curses at that bastard, Kang Jeong. Haesu wondered why Kang Ji-hung was fighting Luca. Why was Haesu cursing like crazy? Damn, standing in the dark radiation-soaked zone with that huge northern monster. Haesu talked to himself like a madman. It's truly insane that in this dark bloodgate, only a shadow of Lucas and Kang Jeong's supernatural skeleton remain. Hung went on the defensive, feeling helpless but unable to harm Lucas, whom he deeply respected. Lucas instinctively hesitated and stepped back. This mana is seriously dangerous. Lucas held Kang Jeong tightly, wondering just how much pain he must be in. Black blood trickled from the corner of Lucas's eye, flowing as if deeply empathizing with Kang Jeong. One of Kang Jeong's eyes still sensed the deep feelings inside himself. From Kang Jeong's large hand, a sharp blade suddenly sprouted. Kang Jeong created a powerful mana circle around himself. Lucas's voice echoed. Sometimes just having someone listen can help a lot. Lucas swung his arm, growing angel wings. So, I'll be the ears that listen to everything. Lucas's hand reached toward Kang Jeong's ears, placing his hand deep inside Kang Jeong's brain. Changes were gradually happening inside his body. Lucas's hand disappeared, now lying deep within Kang Jeong's mind. Fierce mana streams flowed around Kang Jeong. Lucas began to sense the sounds inside him. Kang Jeong's brain seemed to shatter where Lucas's hand touched. Lucas placed his now handless arm over his heart. After gaining these supernatural powers, I constantly hear the sounds, the cries of those suffering, enduring hunger, disease, or other disasters, the agonizing screams of pain from those begging for salvation. Lucas focused all his mind on his thoughts. Fortunately, I also hear other sounds. The prayers of children standing before God, carrying hope, support, and happiness. Echoes of gratitude, prayers from those who have been saved. Lucas knelt down, spreading both arms in a posture of deep thanks to the Creator, who blessed humanity. Lucas's large hand reached out as if trying to grasp Kang Jeong. His hands clenched tightly. Inside Kang Jeong, even now, I can still hear it. Lucas's hand squeezed hard, black blood spurting out. Maybe Kang Jeong has shattered, even though this must be done for humanity. Lucas is in great pain. Black tears streamed down his face, but strangely mana kept pouring from Lucas's hands non-stop. Inside Lucas's giant hands, Kang Jeong's body gradually healed completely, as if never crushed. Lucas's hands seemed about to explode, black blood splattering everywhere. Kang Jeong's eyes blazed fiercely, his pupils dilating. Kang Jeong pointed his sharp-boned nose straight at the kneeling Lucas. Small hands sprouted from Lucas's giant hands, still holding Kang Jeong, pulling him closer. Kang Jeong struggled fiercely to break free. Kang Jeong fully recovered, standing before Lucas. Kang Jeong spread his arms, trying to grab Lucas. Lucas, helpless, had to take harsh action against Cang Jiang. Is this really the only way? When Lucas's hand touched the center of Cang Jiang's forehead, it left a cross mark. The cross dug deep, forcing Cang Jiang to clutch his head with both hands. Cang Jiang's body was gradually being destroyed. Sometimes faith tests us. Blood sprayed onto Lucas's face. His eyes showed deep sadness. Annoying sounds began to appear around Cang Jiang. They caused blood to pour from Cang Jiang's face, eyes, nose, and all over his body, washing out. Lucas's face was also stained with Cang Jiang's blood. Lucas put a finger on his tongue from his mouth. Lucas let out sounds that countered Cang Jae-hung. Cang Jae-hung was screaming in agony. He barely opened his eyes, vaguely seeing everything blurred around him. Cang Jae-hung poked at his bone-transformed eye and had to ask himself, "What the hell am I doing?" Only screams echoed deep inside Cang Hung. The pain was unbearable, truly terrifying. Strange things kept happening. I should be scared of him. But why don't I feel scared at all, standing in front of Lucas? Even though his body was soaked in blood, Cang Jae-hung still felt warmth. His body cried out in miserable pain. Those were people praying to God for peace. Cang Jae-hung wondered, what the hell is that? Respect and faith appeared before Cang Jae-hung's eyes like thousands of crosses. Damn it all. When Cang Jae-hung realized there was no way out, it was already too late. Lucas, that damn bastard. When Lucas and everyone shouted Amen in unison, Cang Jae-hung's body seemed to completely vanish. Everyone cried, sincerely begging God for mercy. On Jesus' side, he laughed loudly. Ha ha. Damn, that power was annoyingly strong. One thing pissed him off, even the Arctic monster was nothing compared to that damn American. If I can't kill this thing, I can't kill him either. Jesus furiously punched and shattered Cang Jae-hung's stone block. I swear I'll kill you with my own hands. Meanwhile, Lucas held his head in pain, having accidentally killed Cang Jae-hung, turning him into a pool of blood on the cold ground. But soon, mana around Cang Jiang's blood spilled out powerfully. Cang Jiang had almost fully turned into a demon, losing control and attacking Lucas. Lucas didn't hesitate and threw a full-force punch at Cang Jae-hung. The massive power made the whole skyscraper explode in seconds. Cang Jiang's hand completely collapsed on the ground. Suddenly, a woman appeared before Cang Jae-hung's corpse, crushed under the rubble of the collapsed building. It was Cang Jae-hung's mother. She appeared gently, yet painfully softly, calling her son. The trembling mother stepped closer to Cang Jae-hung, full of hesitation and fear, seeing her son lying face up in a pool of blood. She was shocked, unable to believe her eyes. Her voice choked as she softly called her son. Cang Jae-hung was moved. A tear fell from one eye. His weak, choked voice whispered, "Mother." Cang Jae-hung, calling silently inside. "Mom." The mother panicked, speechless, just standing there. Her hands trembled as memories flooded back. She remembered once bringing food to her son's room. Suddenly startled, and dropping the tray on the floor, the mother asked fearfully, "Son?" Cang Jae-hung cried, trembling, his voice full of despair. His mother tightly held his hand, hesitating. "I thought you had awakened." On his wrist, a bone protruded through the soft flesh. Cang Jae-hung cried out inside his mother, "Hold me tight." Crying non-stop, "I will become a hunter." He bit his lower lip, eyes full of determination. "I will become a hunter." And Cang Jae-hung kept hugging his mother, speaking through the pain. "I will make you live in wealth." Hearing this, the mother broke into a sweat, her fear impossible to hide. At that moment, Cang Jae-hung laughed loudly, raising his hand to call his mother in despair. "Mom." The mother quickly turned and ran away, ignoring Cang Jae-hung's desperate screams. "Ah, Mom," he yelled in despair. "It's me, your son, Cang Jae-hung's son, right?" Cang Jae-hung lunged forward, grabbing his mother's wrist. His sharp fingers scratched her. The mother couldn't react in time, fell and hit her face on the ground. Cang Jae-hung silently asked inside, "Is it because of these things, Mom?" The drenched mother sat up, turned her head to look at Cang Di Giang, hesitating. No, this was something he was tearing apart from within himself. "It's not me." The desperate mother struck Cang Di Giang hard in the face and shouted, "Get lost, Cang Di Giang." Gritting his teeth, tears streaming down, he kept calling out to his mother, "Mom, Mom." Lucas watched silently, then said, "The story you tell about your mom." Lucas wondered, is it all just a lie? Cang Di Giang kept calling out, "Mom, Mom." Furious, Lucas charged forward, holding a book ready to attack the pathetic creature. But instantly, Cang Di Giang used all his strength to sever Lucas's head. Lucas's head fell into the water below. Cang Di Giang continued calling, "Mom, Mom." At that moment, the parasitic soul inside Lucas escaped. Cang Diang was clutching his mother, his voice pitiful, "Mom." Suddenly, the parasitic soul crawled into Cang Di Giang's mouth. He fell silent. The parasite had successfully taken over Cang Di Giang's body. When Cang Di Giang's body showed a strange expression, a girl with a joyful look said, I love this body. The parasite inside Cang Di Giang was a girl with deep purple hair and a piercing. She thought to herself, I like strong men. The girl inside Cang Di Giang also thought I hate weaklings. Behind her hung a pile of bodies, of men suspended like trophies, men she had killed because they couldn't handle her childishness. The purple-haired girl, lost in dreamy love, looked at Lucas's image and whispered in her heart, I love you, Lucas. She was intoxicated, her voice full of desire echoing non-stop, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. She licked the photo with a hungry expression. She wanted to become one with him. Then, she recalled the past, remembering the moment she awakened her powers and became a parasite inside Lucas's body. She merged with him, with the ability to unite with others. A feeling of bliss and satisfaction filled her heart. With it, I always get what I want, a man stronger than Lucas. She thought perfect. She continued to watch Cang Di Giang's past, the memories of this man. Cang Di Giang woke up, but his mother was gone. He stepped out of the room and saw his mother turning away. Mom, where are you going? He shouted. The mother hurried outside, and Cang Di Giang chased after her. Mom, but unfortunately, he slipped and fell to the ground. Cang Di Giang bled all over, screaming in pain. The mother froze, bit her lip hard, then kept running, leaving him screaming behind. The rain poured harder. Cang Di Giang slowly walked under the rain, exhausted. Mom, he had no strength left, collapsing to the ground in despair. Lying there, he cried, Mom, don't abandon me. He blamed himself silently. I'm your son. Please come back and stay with me. Why did you leave me? He wondered. Is it because Dad died because of me? He looked at his blood-stained wrist. Or was it because my powers are filthy? Or is it the guilt tormenting me, making me a monster? He sat up, his face full of resentment. Suddenly, he cut the power bone on his wrist. But it kept growing back, making Cang Di Giang furious. He fell into despair, screaming in pain. Tears and snot dripped down. He bit his lip hard. Clutching a shell as if about to do something, he slashed his wrist hard. Suddenly, a voice called out, Cang Di Giang. The voice grew closer. Cang Di Giang, Cang Di Giang. His mother rushed to her son, calling his name in. The more confused he became, hesitating and blurring before his mother, his eyes growing more vacant. The poor guy said, I was wrong, Mom. I'm sorry. But then he looked down at his wrist, where his powers kept growing. This thing can't be removed. It just keeps sprouting. What am I supposed to do? The mother, overwhelmed, couldn't hold back her tears. The more confused he got, he kept screaming in despair. What am I supposed to do? I'm sorry. The rain had stopped, and the mother hugged her son, tightly choking up as she said, I'm sorry, my son. I'm so sorry. She silently blamed herself for everything. The purple-haired girl watched all of Cang Di Giang's memories and burst out laughing. Haha, she thought to herself, this guy's a total crazy bastard, but found it oddly entertaining. I love him. Now I can control this body freely. She laughed loudly. Haha. Then immersed herself in every cell, feeling the freedom. UAA. But suddenly pain hit hard. UUGHHH. God damn it. The purple-haired girl writhed. This hurts so bad. The pain spread bit by bit all over her body. The exoskeleton pierced her guts. Muscles, twisted intestines torn apart. She cursed silently. Damn it, it keeps regenerating. The pain every second is unbearable. This sucks big time. She thought wearily. Did he go through this every single day? Inside Cang Di Giang's body, the girl felt the agony. With his last bit of consciousness, Cang Di Giang struggled, screaming, Get the hell out of me. You bastard. He fell backward. At that moment, the parasite inside Cang Di Giang seemed desperate to escape. The little purple-haired girl sitting in the puddle jumped up in panic. Wait, but before she could finish, Cang Di Giang immediately ended her life. Her body was cut in half, lying in a pool of blood. Cang Di Giang gasped, calling out to his mother in pain. Mom. Right then, near Lucas's corpse, a blinding light suddenly appeared. Stephen Lucas stood before everyone and declared, Everyone, get out of here now. Use the door, hurry. The followers must escape first. The brown-haired guy beside him also shouted frantically, Father, you have to evacuate too. The blue dragon is flying higher, he said urgently. Father, come on, hurry up. Suddenly, a flash of light streaked through the dragons and even reached where Stephen stood. Step's eyes suddenly widened. He seemed to recall the terrifying memories from before the moment Di Giang was carried away. His vacant eyes, the demons with scary faces, tragic disasters being used as a test subject flying into space, dying or traveling to another world. Those horrors kept flooding back. The vast universe, with countless mesmerizing galaxies, was so immense that humans couldn't grasp its scale. Step looked at it with tears streaming down, his tears flowing like a river, under the radiant light shining down. Stephen knelt on the ground. Seemingly enlightened, he cried out, so that's it. Suddenly a foot stepped forward. He looked at Step, kneeling on the ground, thinking, Is this the will of the person? From Step's mouth, something strange suddenly emerged, crawling out. Step's eyes were pure, white, lifeless. Naked, he raised his head, gazing at the sky, his eyes showing a heart seemingly cursed, covered with strange symbols. Stephen followed the beam of light shining down. If this really was him, just staring up in that weird posture, the will of the person was on those soft hairs. Stephen stood still, watching the beam of light from the sky. He seemed like just a tiny grain of sand among those hairs. Step clasped his hands so happy he was about to cry, and I'd gladly accept that anywhere else, but Step was lying in a pool of blood, with his head nearly severed. He died without closing his eyes, his face still showing shock. Suddenly, a strange light appeared around his neck. That light seemed to heal Stephen like he was being resurrected. He started to sit up, and a pair of shining wings appeared on his back, clad in white armor, looking at him with a mix of awe and lethal intent. Stephen was fully revived. He radiated an unusually warm light, his wounds completely healed without a trace. Step closed, his eyes, his face showing gratitude, almost about to cry. God, standing before Dirang, I will sincerely accept the trials you have given me. Zhejiang looked at him confused. What the hell is going on? Step ran over and hugged him tightly. He held Dijiang close, who immediately cursed, "Get the hell off me," but the layers of stone on his armor started falling off onto the ground. Stephen wondered why someone would make such a poor kid endure such brutal trials. Dijiang looked utterly stunned. His body was completely bare, and he was amazed. Yeah. Suddenly, a red creature shot up into the sky, a massive red monster emerging from underground. It opened its huge mouth as if ready to swallow them both whole. Suddenly, a beam of light flashed, slicing the monster in half. The light came down from the sky, cutting the giant monster in two. Two beams split the sky. Dirang, with a shocked face, stared at the terrifying scene before him. The entire city was in chaos, surrounded by giant monsters. The sky was blood red, with strange pillars of light from different dimensions. And more monsters appeared through bizarre holes beneath those light pillars. Dirang was lifted up, his eyes forced wide open to witness the chaos. Stephen gently set him down on a rooftop of a tall building. Then he flew up high, returning to the dazzling light in the sky. Dirang looked up at him, his eyes cold and emotionless. Suddenly, a golden light appeared, and Step's eyes changed strangely. His wings spread wide. Stephen, in golden armor, raised a massive sword. He rode a golden horse, with majestic power. The creatures below cheered at the sight. More light overlords appeared in the sky, many knights charging up with golden armor and horses like him. They fought together, advancing toward the monsters. The dark, gloomy sky gradually cleared, leaving beams of light shining down. The chaos in the city was slowly pushed back. Warriors in golden armor and horses with brave spirits charged into battle, defeating the monsters rising from the ground. Dirang, still naked, sat down on the ground, dazed, watching them. As more light overlords appeared, many places on Earth were being saved, the dark clouds gradually dissipating. Light once again shone on the land where humans lived. They were so happy they cried, while many others felt deeply grateful. The orange-haired guy was also slowly breaking through the shield surrounding him. His eyes widened as he looked at everything. The blonde boy was crying, hands clasped in endless gratitude, praying in the cathedral. Stephen and the boy stood at the door. The boy suddenly asked, "Dad, please hold my sleeve, don't go pray today." Step looked at him. The kid didn't understand what was happening. Stephen, his son, his eyes suddenly turned yellow, tears streaming down. The boy begged, desperately pleading. Stephen was heartbroken. Looking at his son, he couldn't make the call, didn't turn back to hug the boy. Every parent has to let go of their child eventually, and when that moment comes, the kid has to stand on their own. Son Stephen sobbed on his shoulder. He was on another side. Suddenly Stephen appeared in the sky, flying down, and said, "Cang Di Giang, a heavy destiny awaits you." He looked at him, kneeling on the ground. "You'll have to endure more pain and hurt. Right now it's brutal." In the space holes, something mysterious stirred. Soon more monsters would appear, even crueler. Stephen clasped his hands, tears flowing, smiling happily. He sincerely begged him, "But please don't lose your faith until the very end." Then, Stephen vanished with that happy smile. "I've shed too many tears already." At the hospital, a voice cried out, "Mom!" A patient lay in bed, gaunt face and weak body. Stephen and the blonde boy were beside her, bowing their heads to the bed, crying hard. "Mom!" Stephen placed his hand on hers. She gripped his hand tightly. The tired-faced mother forced a smile. Stephen suddenly remembered that moment. Tears fell for regrets. But at this moment the blonde boy was also crying hard. "Don't let the dark clouds over the sky linger." The sky brightened. The boy looked up with hope. Normal life returned to everyone. "Goodbye, Cha." Suddenly, a savage grin appeared on the battered body. He cursed and said, "Damn it, ha ha." He laughed like a madman. Strange ropes surrounded him, a mystical space. Suddenly, a blue light engulfed everything. He sat on it and laughed loudly. "Ha ha, thought you were dead, damn it."